Okay, so let's start our session. Today we're going to talk about essay writing, and I think this is a field where most of you have not practiced too much so far. In fact, if we talk about essay writing, I don't think any of you would have done essay writing after maybe your class 10th. You would have done a little bit of essay writing in school, but not too much after that. Correct? Am I right? Has anybody in touch with essay writing during graduation? Anybody has been in touch? No. Okay. So good. We're going to talk about essay writing. But first, before I talk to you about the concepts of essay writing, I want to discuss a little bit on the weightages attached by various institutes. Okay. So I'm going to share with you the kind of weights which various institutes attach to essay writing. Okay. So that you get a fair idea of what we have to do. So if we talk about IIM Ahmedabad gives a combined 60% weight to the PI, the VAT and academic scores. The VAT is the written aptitude test of the essay. Similarly, IIM Bangalore gives 15% weightage to the VAT. Calcutta gives 10%, Lucknow another 10%, Indore gives a 15% weight, Kozhikode gives a 15% weight to the written aptitude test. So anywhere between 15 to 20 to 25% is what the IIMs are looking at for the essay. Okay, so therefore, needless to say, it is an important component. It is a very well thought out component, and it is something which is not easy to neglect. So you can't just say that essay ho jayega and will excel in the rest of the evaluation parameters. You have to do really well in the essay to get through to the IIMs. Okay. There's another reason why I feel that the essay is something you need to prepare quite hard, is because unlike a GD or a discussion oriented evaluation, you can't really leverage other people's knowledge. You have to be knowledgeable yourself. You can't hear somebody else's point and then build on that point and come out with good content like a GD. You have to have the content yourself. Either you have it or you don't. Right? So essay writing is totally an individual technique. It will reflect your knowledge, your content, and how you present that content. Okay, that is why I feel essay writing is going to be a challenge for all of us. Okay, so let me come to the different concepts of essay writing. First of all, let me share the format with you. Most institutes, when I say most institutes, I'm talking about the IIMs particularly, have a minimum 10-minute time component for the essay, going up to even half an hour. Okay, some institutes even go up to 40 minutes in an essay. Typically, the minimum word length that you are allowed to write with is 150 words. Again, it goes up to anywhere up to 350 words as well. Okay, so it's anywhere between 150 to 350 words and 10 to 30 minutes generally. Okay, so the typical essay length and time period that we are going to practice with is close to 250 to 300 words, and we are going to practice with about a 20-minute time period for writing our essays. Okay, actually, if you notice the slide in front of you, it says essay writing 01. So we have 3 sessions in all on essay writing, and in each of these 3 sessions we'll talk about different topics, different kinds of essays. So today we'll be talking about factual essays, essays which are based on current awareness or the world around you. In the next session, we'll talk about essay writing case analysis style. So when essays are based on case study analysis, and then we'll talk about essay writing based on abstract essays, abstract topics in the third sessions. So whenever you log in to an essay writing class, please make sure that you're reading which class it is. Is it essay writing 1, 2 or 3, right? So we'll go that way. So typically, this is what an essay should be like. Okay. So even though that is slightly a vague thing to say, but that's conveying a point to you. The idea behind an essay is it should pique the interest of a reader. somebody who's reading your essay must feel intrigued, must feel like knowing more. Okay? But at the same time, he must not get bored. It must not be too long. It must not be too repetitive. It must not be beating around the bush. Okay, so it must be short enough, but at the same time, it must pique his interest. He must feel like knowing more about you. So essay is a very skilled technique. It is not that easy to master. It will take a lot of practice. Okay. Okay. Before I come to the purpose of an essay, let me explain to you briefly. There are two types of essay topics. Okay, and what I am talking about today is essay topics based on facts or current affairs. So there are two types of topics in this field. Okay, one set of topics, the objective of the essay has to be to explain the topic or to inform the reader. The second type of essay will be where your objective of writing the essay is to persuade the reader. Okay. For example, if I give you an essay topic saying FDI in India. Okay. So suppose your topic is to be FDI in India. Well, it's a very simple topic. What is this, guys? Is it a persuasion based topic or is it a topic where you have to explain? So again, the topic is this a persuasion based topic or is it an explanation based topic? Absolutely correct. It is an explanation based topic. You have to talk about FDI. You have to talk about what FDI means. You talk about the status of FDI and you have to explain and inform the reader about FDI in India. But at the same time, if I were to slightly modify the topic and say FDI in India, good or bad. So good or bad. So again, is this, and I put a question mark at the end of this topic, is this now an explanation topic or a persuasion based topic? Absolutely. This is a persuasion based topic. See, the difference is very small. In fact, a lot of times we will not even notice this difference when we reach the topic in an essay. But it is critical to understand this difference, because in the first case we are supposed to explain through our essay about FDI and its current status in India, whereas in the second topic we are supposed to analyze the good points of FDI as well as the bad points of FDI and thereafter persuade the reader towards one side, whichever side that you feel is correct. So the idea behind the second topic is to persuade the reader. Okay, so you must always understand that when you are looking at an essay, the first thing you have to note is what does the essay ask you to do? Is it a persuasion based essay or is it an explanation based essay? Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, coming to the evaluation. An essay looks to evaluate primarily three things in a student. Okay, the first, of course, is content. Your general knowledge, your current awareness, your opinions on a given topic, and as well as your objectivity of opinions. Okay. Now, your general knowledge and your current awareness you'll need to build for all the evaluation steps in the next 1 month. Okay. So whether it is the PI or the GD or the essay, you'll need to build your current affairs knowledge for all of them. Okay. So that need not be said anymore, I believe. But your objectivity of opinion. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, on every such topic, so again, if we go back to this topic, FDI in India, good or bad, the reader would like to know your opinion. So, in the sense, what do you feel about FDI in India, as well as whether you can objectively talk about both sides. He would like you to objectively analyze the good points of FDI or the good things which FDI has brought about, as well as some negative effects for FDI. In every question mark based topic, in every persuasion based topic, a student is supposed to be objective, is supposed to analyze both sides of the topic, pros and cons, before taking a final view, before reaching the conclusion, before taking a stand. So the objectivity of your opinion is very important. It is tested and looked for by the panel. Okay, so in every persuasion based topic, you have to persuade the reader, yes, but before coming to your opinion, before taking a stand, you have to objectively analyze both sides of the picture. Okay, so please remember that objectivity is very important. So that's about content. You must have content and you must be able to objectively analyze that content as well. Now, how do you build this content? It's very easy to say you must have content, but how do you build this content? See, it's no different than probably what you've been hearing on and what you've been doing in terms of your preparation for your PI and your GDs. You need to read a lot. You need to read newspapers. You need to read magazines. You need to buy a yearbook maybe. You need to prepare your content from as many number of sources as possible. Okay? But at the same time, I would advise you to move about this preparation very smartly. I'm sure all of you know that the processes are earlier this year than they were previously. So which means by the end of January, your interview processes are likely to start at least at some of the IIMs. Okay? So therefore, for all intents and purposes, we have to work with about 20 to 25 days of preparation. So you have about 25 days of preparation, maximum 1 month before you are supposed to go for the interviews and the processes. Now, within this 20-25 days, you can't probably prepare for everything. Current affairs is a vast ocean. It would be very difficult to tell you to prepare for everything in this limited time. So please be very smart. I would advise you to work reverse chronologically. In the sense, prepare all the current affairs which are currently hot topics first. So prepare the current topics of discussion, current topics of importance first, and then move backwards. Okay? When you prepare a topic, don't just read one article or one blog on that particular topic. When you take up a topic, for example, you take up privatization of railways. Okay? Now when you do that, start by reading a lot of blogs, a lot of opinion-based articles, a lot of amateur as well as professional writers' opinions on privatization. Find out what is the NDA government's view on the privatization of railways. Find out what are the statistics related to privatization. What is the total revenue of the Indian railways? What is the revenue coming in from the passenger railways as well as coming in from the non-passenger side? So find out a lot of things related to opinions, related to current status as well as related to statistics. So then you've covered one topic and then you move on to the next. So similarly, you keep on doing this. Don't just read one article. So when you take up one topic, try to analyze it thoroughly, try to gain content deeply about it before you move on. So similarly, in the next 20 days, if you can cover 30 to 40 such current affairs, I think you'll have a good base to go for an interview. So approximately 2 sets of current events a day. So which means an hour to each, so maybe 2 hours a day. If you can evaluate to your content, it will help you in your essay as well as your GD as well as your PIs. So please guys, be very smart on your preparation. Don't just go about in the haphazard way. Content is something which is paramount. Okay. The second parameter of evaluation in an essay is your written communication skills, which means your writing ability, simply put. So how you write, your grammar, your commas and full stops, your punctuation, your spelling mistakes, your handwriting. A lot of us don't have very beautiful handwriting. It's a fact. But for the purpose of the essay, we have to make it presentable, right? So our written communication, whether we are writing our paragraphs, our grammar, our indenting, our commas, full stops, spelling mistakes, all of these need to be taken care of. Okay. And the third thing that you're evaluated on an essay is the structure or the organization of the essay. Okay. So what I would like to do is I would like to come back to all these 3 points. I'll come back to all these 3 points, but before that I would like you to write one essay. Okay. So would you like to write an essay right now? All of you have? Yes? No? Yes, so I've got one yes. Willing to write an essay, guys? Yes, so 3. I've got 3 people saying yes. What about the rest of you? 4. Okay, so I'm going to give you a topic. Please listen very carefully what you are going to do in the next 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give you a topic. So I'll give you 20 minutes to write the essay, guys. Okay, and after the 20 minutes are up, I will ask one of you to show your essay to the entire group. Okay, so we'll take your essay, one of your essays, and then we'll work it from there. We'll talk about all the evaluation parameters again with your essay as a reference point. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. When you write the essay, like I said, you'll get 20 minutes. Yes, guys, so I'm writing the topic now, and from now I will give you 20 minutes to write your essay. Okay, so I'm writing the topic on the whiteboard in front of you. This is your topic, guys. Please start. Best of luck. You have 20 minutes. Yes, guys, please stop writing. Please stop writing, guys. Okay, good. So how was the experience, guys? How did you find the essay writing task? Were you aware about the topic? Were you having good content? Okay, so now what we're going to do is I would like you, while you were writing, if you had any doubts, if you felt there was something troubling you or there was something which came to your attention at that time, please post all your questions in the chat box. I'll take them up, but at the same time I will take them up while we are doing the next activity. I would now like one volunteer. Anybody would like to volunteer and share their essay with the rest of the group? Who would like to share your essay with the rest of the group? Okay, so Shashwat, we'll take up your essay. Please hang on a second. Is this your essay, Shashwat? Okay, so just give me a minute now. Okay, can everybody see the essay on the screen? Shashwat, don't worry, yaar. In fact, it's very good. I appreciate it a lot that you have volunteered to share your essay with the rest of the group. I hope the entire group learns something from the discussion that we have on this. Okay, good. So let's talk about the essay. Let's quickly. I'm going to spend 2 minutes reading this essay. I would like all of you to read the essay and note down whatever you want to about the essay. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes. I'm reading it. Please, you do that as well. Yes, has everybody read the essay? Okay. So, guys, before I give feedback to Shashwat and I tell you on the points from this essay on how to construct an essay, would you like to share any doubts, any questions that are coming to your mind at this moment? Is there any doubt, any problem at this stage from your own essay or from Shashwat's essay? Anything you would like to ask me? Yes, guys, any doubts so far? Anything you would like to ask? Okay, so I'm assuming there are no doubts. Let's carry on. So, Shashwat, I think it is a fairly good job here. It's not a very bad job, not bad per se. There are, yes, some areas where improvements could be done, and I'll talk about those. Okay, so there are a couple of doubts which I see. Let me just have a look at these. Devesh, I'll just come to this point next. Arvind, what were the confusions? Yeah, what all things were you confused on? So you got confused whether democracy is good or bad. Okay, okay, I'll come to that. Yogesh, first tell me what are the different forms of governance? Yeah. So you are saying the difference between democracies and other governments. Tell me what are the other forms of governance? Marut, that is a good thing that you did. I haven't read your essay, but I think that is the right way to go. Okay, so Srijesh for you and for Yogesh you. Um, and I guess maybe the rest of you are maybe not aware of this. Communism is not a form of governance, guys. So when we talk of communism, the comparables are capitalism and socialism. And these are not forms of governance, these are economic forms. These are forms of economy. Whereas forms of governance, as correctly pointed out by Srijesh, are monarchy, oligarchy, as well as democracy. Okay. So communism is not a governance form, it is a economic form. Okay. But let me first come to the governance forms. Okay. So yeah, guys, I agree that if you had given examples like Yogesh is saying, like I guess even Arvind is saying, that would have been a good idea. If you had the knowledge, if you had the content, that is why initially when I started the session, I talked about the importance of content. Had you had the examples, I would have, even loved the essay a lot. But even if I look at this essay now in front of us, it's a fairly good essay which Shashwat has written. It's not bad. He's tried to distinguish on the basis of one, population, and two, diversity of population in terms of democracy versus monarchy, right? So it's not a very bad essay, it's a fairly decent essay for a first attempt. So but let me talk about what else could have been done. Okay, Varun, India and China and the growth story has to be related to the forms of governance. So India is a democracy. What is China? Socialist economy, capitalist, what is it? In terms of governance, please remember, is it governance wise elected representatives? How does it work? Interesting point is Varun has raised, guys. What about the governance form in China? Correct. And what is a Politburo committee, Yogesh? How do these members get elected? How do these representatives come there? Yes, Varun. So I'll come to the non-democracy versus democracy part. Okay, guys. So before I come to your individual questions on this particular content, let me just share with you the organization or the way to write an essay. Okay. So when we talk about the structure, let's talk about the structure in a generic way, and then I'll come back to this essay. Okay. Now, we were talking about this. So we are now talking about point 3. We talked about the importance of content. I talked about communication skills, your written communication skills precisely. And now we'll talk about structure. Okay. See, your essay, every essay needs to be divided into 3 distinct parts. The first part should be your introduction. You must have 1 paragraph in your essay for your introduction. This is typically, and this is a thumb rule, it can be slightly more, it can be slightly less, but as a thumb rule, about 10% of the length of the essay which you are allowed to write. So if it's 300 words, say about 30 words, or between 30 to 40 words should be the length of your introduction. Similarly, if the essay is given to you in terms of space, so you are allowed to write 1 page, it should be about 10% of the size of the page. This is your first paragraph. It is the introduction paragraph. Okay. The introduction paragraph introduces your essay. Okay. For example, in this case, in the case of the essay that we have just done, this one. So in this one, you can talk about defining democracy in your introduction. So your introduction paragraph could be you defining what is a democracy. Okay. So if you look at this essay now in front of you, here Shashwat has done precisely that. He has tried to define democracy, and then he said, I'm not very sure whether it is the best form or not, but it depends on different situations. But the first line, he's tried to define democracy. This is the one of the right ways in which you can start an essay, especially if the topic is not self-explanatory, it requires some explanation. You can start by defining the topic. Okay, so that can be an introduction paragraph. If the topic is self-explanatory, if the topic does not need any definition, okay, then you can write in the introduction paragraph, you could start off with a outline. So you could start off by saying, so for example, I said foreign direct investment, good or bad for India. So here, if you think that FDI is self-explanatory, we don't need to define it. You could start off by saying, let us look at FDI from the point of view of 4 stakeholders. So we can talk of FDI from the view of farmers, from the view of consumers, from the view of government, and from the view of bureaucracy. So from these 4 stakeholders' point of view, let us try and look at FDI in India. So you can try and outline the rest of your essay in your introduction. So in other words, you can in the introduction tell us what you're going to speak of in the rest of the essay. Okay, so that is one approach to the introduction. One approach could have been the definition. The other approach is the outline approach. I outline what I'm going to say next. Okay. The third approach for the introduction is where I start off with a quotation. So if I have in my mind a relevant quotation which is relevant to the topic at hand, I remember the exact quotation and I remember the author's name, everything I remember, I can start off my essay, the introduction paragraph, with a quotation and then take it from there. So broadly, these are 3 techniques on how to start an essay. The introduction paragraph is roughly 10% of the total length of the essay. It could start off by defining the topic or by providing an outline for the rest of the topic, rest of the essay, or it could start off with a quotation. These 3 approaches can be your introduction paragraph. Okay. Any questions on the introduction, guys? Anything you want to ask me regarding the introduction paragraph? So Shashwat, your introduction paragraph, I think the approach is correct. You've tried to define democracy and then you've tried to say, let us look at it from different situations. So I think your approach is fine. Your introduction paragraph is fine. Okay, Shashwat, when I talked about outlining, I said suppose the topic is self-explanatory, okay, and it is something which I don't think needs definition. Now in such a case, I can start off by saying, for example, like I said, the topic on FDI in India, you can start off by saying, let us look at FDI or let us examine FDI in India from the perspective of the following 4 stakeholders: farmers, consumers, government, and let us say business houses. So I identify 4 stakeholders and I say I am going to talk about FDI in India from these 4 perspectives. So when I say outline, I am basically saying that I am going to examine this topic from these 4 perspectives in the following lines. So that is what I said, outline. This is what I am going to speak next in my essay. Okay, is that clear, Shashwat? Okay. Now let me come to Arvind's question. So Arvind asked me the introduction of the essay, if you have no clue about the stance what you're going to take. Arvind, the introduction paragraph as it is does not have to even hint at a stand. Okay? The introduction paragraph has nothing to do with the stand that you are going to take. As I had explained earlier, topics related to factual affairs or current affairs can be either explanation based or persuasion based. If it's an explanation based topic, this question doesn't arise. But if it's a persuasion based essay, when we have to take a side, that taking of a side comes much later. The introduction paragraph will not take a side or even hint at taking a side anywhere in the first paragraph. So don't take any sides or even hint at taking a side in the introduction. Okay. So Arvind, if you have no clue of the stand you're going to take, don't worry. It's not supposed to be done in the introduction. I'll come to, when you have no clue, what do you do? I'll come to that point also in a couple of minutes. Okay, let me just clear off another couple of doubts, then we'll go on. Okay. So that's the introduction paragraph, guys. Stick with me for a couple of minutes. Let me go through the structure of an essay and then I'll come to how you approach it. Okay. The second part of your essay is the body. After the introduction, the second part of your essay is the body. The body typically has to be made of at least 2 paragraphs and could even be 6 to 7 paragraphs. Typically, the body of an essay is anywhere between 2 to 4 paragraphs. So there's 1 paragraph for the introduction and another 3 or 4 paragraphs in the body. So like I gave you the example of FDI, and I said that let us examine FDI from the perspective of 4 stakeholders. I would now divide the body into 4 paragraphs, 1 paragraph dedicated to each stakeholder. So 1 paragraph I'll talk about the farmer's point of view, FDI from the farmer's point of view. Next paragraph I'll talk about FDI from the point of view of consumers. I'll talk about FDI from the point of view of government in the 3rd paragraph, and in the 4th paragraph in the body I'll talk about FDI from the point of view of corporations or corporates. So I will divide my body into 4 distinct paragraphs. Anywhere between 2 to 6 paragraphs is fine. But the message which I am trying to convey here is each paragraph has to have a distinct flavor. Each paragraph has to be dedicated to a distinct description or distinct subtopic. Okay? It could be 2 paragraphs dedicated to pros and cons. So if you are saying democracy, if the topic is democracy, you can say 1 paragraph for democracy, 1 for monarchy, 1 for oligarchy. Or another way of approaching it could be 1 paragraph talking about the pros of democracy, 1 paragraph talking about the cons of democracy. So this approach is flexible. That is your choice. But the message which I want to convey is each paragraph has to be distinct. इस paragraph में हमने pros की बात की. The next paragraph has to distinctly talk about cons. It adds to your readability. The reader is able to grasp your essay much better. Okay. So please understand that the body can be anywhere between 2 to 6 to 7 paragraphs. This depends on your introduction. This depends on the content that you have. But the message is that each paragraph has to be distinct. It has to come across as a separate subtopic in itself. Okay. So that is the body for you. Okay. Now body is the meat of your essay, guys. I mean, when I am a reader, I know that what you are going to say or what your message is, your explanation or your persuasion, the meat of your argument is going to come in the body. So to make your body stronger, you must be able to support it with lots of statistics and examples. And that is where, Shashwat, I found your essay slightly weak, because there are no examples and no statistics to support what you are saying. Okay, I would have loved to see, like somebody said, I think Arvind said that, I've talked about some statistics of India, US, etc., China. So it is great if you can present statistics. So in so and so year, so and so person made this a democracy. These are the growth rates or the average growth rate of this economy. thanks to the democratic governance. And this is an oligarchy. This is the growth rates of this country. So if you have some statistics, whether it is growth rates, whether it is population figures, where you are able to distinguish and support your point, it becomes a brilliant essay. So each paragraph, the point which you are making, if it is supported with an example, statistics, names, numbers, years, it becomes a very strong point. So your body gains a lot of strength with examples. Each paragraph, each sub-point should be supported with examples and statistics. Okay, so that is the major chunk of your essay, the body. Any questions on the body, guys? So, Shashwat, I think you also realized that you did not make those 2 or 3 paragraphs in the body. If I can come back to your essay, there are 2 paragraphs after your introduction paragraph, and even though the points in both the paragraphs is distinct, so the second paragraph in the essay, guys, before you, talks about the things which are where democracy is useful. So in a country like India, he says the population is large, diverse, so democracy is useful. Whereas in the next paragraph, he talks about, so when a country is not diverse and the population is not so large, monarchy is better. So yes, the paragraphs are distinct, definitely. I can definitely make sense that this is a different paragraph. What he's trying to say is very different in paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. But they are not supported with examples, they are not supported with statistics, and that is a weakening element. Okay, so that is what is probably missing here. Is that clear, guys? Any questions? Any questions so far, guys? I'll come to that, Shashwat. I'll come to the overall rating of the essay once I'm done with my the structure. Arvind, I said in the beginning, yeah, you need content for everything. It's not just the essay, you need to prepare content for PI as well as the GD element. So you can't escape from content in any way. So like I said, start working backwards, start working from the freshest, going backwards. So the top 20, 30 current events, India and globally, you have 30 days. Start picking 2 current events a day and start gaining knowledge on them. So there's no escape from statistics. There's no escape from current affairs, Arvind. You will get caught either in the essay or the GD or the interview. So, I mean, see, the idea is very simple, yeah. Arvind, if you go about it in a structured manner, no, if you go about it very smartly, you will be able to see that you will do a lot of things in 20 days. But अगर आपको लगेगा कि सब कुछ आज ही करना है, if you're feeling that it is too big, you will end up doing nothing. So just think of 2 current affairs a day. So today, for example, you say, before I sleep, I'm going to understand the airlines industry in India. So whether it is Kingfisher Airlines, whether it is SpiceJet, whether it is Vistara, whether it is Air Asia, whether it is Malaysian Airlines and the disasters with Malaysian Airlines, I'm going to understand Indian and global airline industry today. So spend an hour, spend a couple of hours, you will get it done by tonight. Then tomorrow pick another topic. So that is how you should go about this preparation. Okay? No, Maru, that will always be there, yeah. Nobody knows everything. But chances or probability is higher for current affairs which are more recent. So if you have those 30-40 current affairs ready, I think you are decently well prepared. Right? So Marut, I think you can only do that much, yeah. Okay, there's a couple of other questions, I think. Okay. So Srijesh, quoting rough statistical numbers is better if you use fractions. Okay, so if you don't have an exact idea of the growth rate or the current account deficit, you can say approximately. You can write the word approximately. So growth rate, GDP growth rate of India approximately 5%. Current account deficit approximately 4%. And if you're talking about population statistics, other statistics, you can use fractions. So you can say approximately 1/3 of India or 1/4 of India's population lives below the poverty line. So fractions is better when you're using approximations. If you're using the statistic itself, use the word approximately. Arvind, that is true, but the point is, unless you start, you'll always feel the load is too heavy. Once you start, you'll always find things getting better and better. Your mind will be more and more relaxed. You'll find the weight is not so much. But just start. That is my, guide to you. You must start preparing. Shashwat, again, you need to be very smart here. If you're not able to remember numbers, don't worry, you're not alone. 99% of the world's population finds remembering numbers difficult. But you again must be very smart. Take a register. Okay. Write down the top. So like I said, 30, 40 current affairs topics. From every topic, 3-4 statistics. So in all, you'll have at max 70, 80, 100 statistics, and you'll cover 3 to 4 sheets of your register. Just remember them. You don't need to remember everything, and you'll find those 70, 80, 100 statistics fitting almost everywhere. So be very smart about your preparation. You have a limited amount of time. All of you have multiple things to work on. So be very smart. Don't try and remember everything, but whatever you do remember, make sure it sticks. Okay. So please take a register, note down the top 3-4 statistics of every topic. So airline industry, just note 3-4 statistics on the airline industry and keep it in the register. Similarly, tomorrow if you do telecom industry in India, top 3-4 statistics of the telecom industry, note it down. And then keep on revising it. Keep on trying to recall it every day. By the end of 20 days, you will find 60 to 70 statistics are on the top of your mind. Okay, so prepare it this way, you will find it much easier. Okay, what else? So again, if you are unsure of the number, please use the word approximate. Okay. Srijesh, Zat. See, the idea is, Srijesh, mostly Zat will give you abstract topics. But if you get, and it's not a surety, it's not a definite, but it has been, that has had factual topics also, but generally the factual topics which JAT gives are quite generic. Okay, so if you write a generic essay which is well organized, these things that we are talking about right now, if you are having an essay which is well organized into the introduction paragraph, the body, and then the conclusion with a decent content without statistics, you should have a decent essay score. Okay, that's the best I can tell you at this stage. Okay. Anyways, let's come back to the essay writing. So again, I'm left with the third part of your essay, which is, so we started off with the introduction paragraph, one paragraph, about 10% of your space. About another 80% of your space is the body. Okay, which is divided between either 2 paragraphs at the minimum or at maximum 6 to 7 paragraphs. So typically there will be about 3 to 4 paragraphs in the body, making up about 80% of the space, and the last 10% of the space goes to the conclusion, which again I think Shashwat missed out. There was no separate paragraph for the conclusion, Shashwat. In the conclusion, you have to summarize what you have said in the body, and the conclusion paragraph generally starts with to conclude or to summarize. So in essence we can say, therefore to summarize, therefore to conclude. The introduction paragraph talks about what you're going to say next in the body. The conclusion paragraph summarizes what you've already said in the body. Okay. So this is the conclusion paragraph. It has to be a distinct paragraph. It need not be repetitive. Don't repeat the same words that you've already said in the body, but just summarize all the things that you said in the body. So in this case, in Shashwat's essay, I would have loved to see a conclusion saying, therefore, to conclude, we can see that governance or the form of governance is dependent on the population size and the population diversity, and depending on the size and diversity, democracy and monarchy are equally good depending on the situation at hand. You could conclude that way. Okay. So again, I am not agreeing or disagreeing with your content. All I am doing is, given your content, I am trying to make a summary of that. So this is what you would have summarized with. This would have been a separate paragraph. It would have rounded off what you have said in the body. Okay, so that is where I think you missed a trick. Okay guys, so that's the conclusion. It is a very important part of your essay. Now, couple of things more. Now, when you're writing your essay in most institutes, it will not be an online affair. You'll have to write it on a piece of paper. At that stage, when you're writing an essay on the piece of paper, some more challenges come in front of you. The first, of course, is handwriting. So people who don't have good handwriting, some of you know yourself that my handwriting is not so good. Please try and make sure that you write a little slower so that your writing is legible. Okay. Second, please check for your cuttings as well as spelling mistakes. Here, Word document does that for you, but in the case of physical paper, you will have to do that yourself. So no cuttings, no spelling errors. Third, in Word, you will find that I can easily identify where one paragraph is ending and the next is starting. But in a physical essay, that may not happen. So in a physical essay, always indent your paragraphs. Okay. So let me quickly explain what indentation is. So if I am writing an essay, and I write the topic here, okay, my paragraph should start from here. Similarly, when I finish my paragraph, and next paragraph should start from here. This is indenting, guys. So now you can easily read, or you can easily see where my next paragraph has started. This is indenting, right? So starting here is indenting. It adds to the readability. It shows the reader that a new paragraph has started. So please make sure, in business writing we teach that you must not indent, but for the purpose of your essay you must indent, because it is absolutely adding to your readability. The reader is able to identify a new paragraph is starting. Yeah, Shashwat, you're absolutely right. But here, since your space is limited, please don't do a line break. Please just indent your paragraph so that you can optimum utilize your space, as well as your essay becomes more readable. We teach in business writing no indentation. Indentation is gone. It's out of fashion. Nobody indents anymore. But for this essay, or for the purpose of your B school admissions, you must indent your essays. Srijesh, I would, you can, make the lines, draw the lines, but I would love if you can do it without the lines. Yeah, it looks a little better. It looks a little more professional. The lines look a little more childish. So if you can't absolutely manage, if you have a big problem with your skewness, then you draw the lines. But I would love it if you have a slight problem, manage without the lines. Yeah. But even in the plain paper, you must do the indentation. Okay. So this is about the structure, guys. So guys, for today's takeaway, like I told you earlier, you are evaluating Shashwat. Okay, yeah, I'll come to this point, Shashwat, in just a minute. When I'm evaluating an essay, I'm talking about content. I of course look at the body and the meat of your essay. I look at your cuttings, I look at your grammar, I look at your commas and full stops, I look at your spelling mistakes as well. That's your written ability. And I look at this structure. So for the purpose of the ZAT test tomorrow, and for the purpose of all your essays in future, you must divide your essay into the introduction paragraph, between 2 to 6 paragraphs for the body. Each paragraph has a distinct flavor, and a conclusion paragraph summarizing what you have said. Couple of more points. The conclusion paragraph is where you take the stand. So for example, if the topic was like we did for democracy, and you talk about pros and cons of democracy, you divide your body into 2 paragraphs, one for pros, one for cons. In the conclusion paragraph, I would take the stand. So taking a stand doesn't happen in the introduction, it happens in the conclusion. It is where you summarize that having seen the pros and cons, we can summarize democracy is or is not the best form of governance. This is your conclusion. Okay, so in a question mark based topic, the stand always happens in the conclusion. Okay, Arvind, no, please don't do that. Yeah. Please don't do the highlighting and the underlining. Don't do those things. Okay, so that's one. To answer Shashwat your question, generally, I don't know if you guys agree with me. For 300 words, I guess nobody fell short. Nobody, when I said time up, was anybody still writing? I guess for 300 words, the time was more than enough. Please tell me if anybody thinks differently here. Was the time enough? Was it too short? 20 minutes for 300 words. You were free, right? Before the time was up? That will always be the case, without exception. You will always get more time than the space required or the space that you got for your essay. There's a very simple reason for this, Shashwat. Because initially you're not supposed to start. You're supposed to think. You're supposed to note down the key points which come to your mind, some statistics which come to your mind, some examples which come to your mind. Just note them down on a rough sheet. Spend the first 2 minutes just thinking. And once you have a decent number of points, in your mind start organizing it. Okay, I can say this in my first paragraph in my body. I can portray this in my second paragraph and so on. So organize the points which you have written down on a rough sheet in your mind into a flow in your essay. Then you start writing. And Shashwat, that I hope answers your questions on the cuttings. If you have that flow in your mind, if you have that sequence built up, you will always get rough sheets. You will always have some space to jot down your key points. You will always have a rough sheet. So if you have that flow in your mind, if you have the structure in your mind, if you have those examples and statistics ready, you know what to put where, cuttings are bound to be much less. You will always have a lesser number of cuttings, Shashwat. So that is what I said. If you are starting the essay right at the beginning, you will always find the time was extra. So when you are given an essay topic, the first 2 minutes just spend it thinking. Because if you have that structure in your mind, or a decent structure, a rough structure in your mind, how you are going to write this, you will find the writing time also is much shorter. You will need much less time to write those 300 words. Okay? And of course the cuttings will be less. The missing of points will not be there. Try to do that. So maybe don't do it for tomorrow. But now onwards, you can always practice this. Okay? Yes guys, any questions so far? Any questions guys so far? Okay. So guys, the takeaway from today's session is this much. One, you need to have good content. You need to work very sequentially, very structured way on your content. Second, you must have a very clear structure. Your essay must be divided into introduction paragraph. You must have a body, and you must have a distinct conclusion. All of them should be visibly distinct. Third, you have to avoid your grammatical errors, your cuttings, your mistakes. How you do that? By spending some time before you start writing, just thinking, just noting down your key points. If you do this much, you will have a good base to start off with. Okay? Now, for essay writing, what do you do from here on? Like I said, from here on we have essay writing 2 and we have essay writing 3. There we'll talk about case writing. So when you have a case study given to you, how do you write an essay on that? And we'll talk about essay writing based on abstract topics. And I'll also share some frequently asked questions and the answers to those questions with you. Okay, so that is what we're going to cover in essay 2 and essay 3. But that's not the end of the story. Okay. Generally, essay writing is probably the only tool or the evaluation tool which you can practice yourself. So like you did today. So what you can easily do, go to the Bullseye website, hitbullseye.com. There are a lot of essay topics giving there. Pick an essay topic, start writing. Give yourself 300 words, start writing, or give yourself one A4 size sheet, start writing. Give yourself 20 minutes. Do this honestly. At the end of it, you can Google the topic. You can search on Google for good essays. You can search on Google for people's opinions, and then you can hold your essay and see what you've done right, what you could have done better. So essay writing is something you can practice on your own. I'm told that all of you, as soon as you get the calls, the IIM calls, will be allotted mentors at Bullseye. So all of you will have mentors to handhold you in the next 1 month. You can come back to your mentors and show your essays, right? So essay writing is the only tool which you can do yourself, keep on practicing and getting better without a mentor's direct intervention. Okay. Let me just see some. Marut, I have not written an essay on this today, yeah, but I'll share with you what I wrote last year. I wrote an essay on this topic last year. I'll share that with you next time. Sridesh, okay. See, abstract topics, I'll be very short on this. Abstract topics are very different from the factual topics. Here, there is nothing to speak of in terms of content. The skill which is tested here is lateral thinking. Okay, how widely you can connect this topic, like you just connected red and blue to the football teams. So there are other ways. So you can talk about Coke and Pepsi, for example. So the width of your thinking, the how lateral you can think, this is what is tested. And again, when you talk about Coke and Pepsi, if you have statistics on market shares or growth rates on sales, or for Chelsea and for example Manchester, if you have the relevant statistics on their win records, that will be great. So abstract topics is all about lateral thinking, the width of your knowledge, and again the depth of each point that you talk about. Srijesh will talk about separately in the abstract essay class. Right, what else guys? Any other questions? Okay guys, in that case, we'll close the class here today. Best of luck for your XAT exam, and I'll see you in essay writing too. Thank you.